Hey guys, Aliaa Lifts here. Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how you can grow your glutes. This is something that I've done myself over the past few years and also something that I've helped a lot of women achieve, and today I'm going to be talking you guys through it. Let's just get started. When it comes to growing your glutes, you can gain fat in your glutes and you can gain muscle, and today I'm going to be going over obviously how you can gain muscle in your glutes. So we're going to be starting off with muscle hypertrophy. What does the word hypertrophy mean? Simply, it just means the growth of the size of your muscles. And over these past few years, studies have shown that the main driver of muscle hypertrophy is called mechanical tension. That means when your muscles are contracting and elongating under load. And mechanical tension increases as you train closer and closer to failure. Failure being not able to perform another repetition with good form. This is why training hard is really important. So to grow our glutes, the main thing we want to be focusing on is providing our glutes with sufficient mechanical tension over time. Next, let's go into volume. So volume refers to how much you're training a muscle group essentially. And as a general rule of thumb for all of your muscles, 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week is a good amount of volume. When I say sets, I mean hard sets. I mean sets that are intense enough, sets that are taken close enough to failure. In general though, I do find that the glutes tend to be a muscle group that can handle a bit more volume than all your other muscles like your quads or your hamstrings. So I would err more towards the side of 20 sets per week for your glutes. Especially if glutes are your priority, you want to be training them with more volume than you would your quads or your hamstrings if those are not your priority at the moment. Now, how many times per week should you be training your glutes? There's a lot of conflicting information on this topic. Some people will say just hit legs once a week, that's all you need. Some other glute gurus will tell you to train glutes every single day. There's a sweet spot between those two extremes. I would say anywhere between 2 to 4 times a week is a good amount to train your glutes, and I do believe that if growing your glutes is your priority, then most of you, I'm saying most, would benefit from training your glutes 3 times per week. This is because when you spread out your volume evenly across these 3 sessions, you can have better quality sets, better quality workouts for your glutes. Next, let's go into rep ranges. As a general rule of thumb, for hypertrophy, for muscle growth, you want to be doing sets of 5 to 30 reps close to failure in order to stimulate your muscles and get them to grow. Now, I know that's quite a big rep range. Let's chunk it down. I would say that for compound movements, err toward the sides of like 5 to 12 reps. And then for isolation lifts, go towards like 12 to 20. And speaking of compound and isolation, what are these exercises? What do they mean? Compound exercises are simply exercises that require more than one joint to be moving in order for the exercise to be performed. Isolation movements only require a single joint to be in action. So just to recap, lower end of that rep range for compound lifts and then higher end of that rep range for isolation. And when it comes to how long you should be resting between sets for your glutes, again, it's very similar to any other muscle in your body. You want to just rest until you feel like you're able to go again. I know that sounds very vague, but essentially you should be able to perform another quality set within your given rep range with a decent amount of load. So for compounds, this tends to be about 2 to 3 minutes, and then for isolation lifts, more like 60 to 90 seconds. One thing that's very, very important to keep in mind is when you're training, you want to be progressively overloading your muscles. Whenever we're training our glutes, we're essentially breaking those muscles down, and then they grow back stronger. And in order for us to actually break these muscles down, we have to be providing them with a stimulus that is sufficient. We need to be putting our muscles through sufficient mechanical tension. And every single time as your body adapts and gets stronger, for us to produce that same amount of mechanical tension, you're gonna have to lift heavier, or you're gonna have to do more reps. So I'd highly recommend that every single time you go into the gym, you've got a logbook or you've got, the notes app on your phone, log your lifts. Log how much you're lifting for your hip thrust, for your lunges, for your squats. Write that down. How many reps are you doing? How many sets are you doing? And over the course of the next few weeks and months, you want to be making sure that you are getting stronger, lifting heavier, doing more reps, or a combination of both. So once you're applying progressive overload, that's going to ensure you're providing the muscles with sufficient mechanical tension over time, and that's going to guarantee glute growth. Next, let's go over exercise selection. what are the best exercises to grow your glutes? I hate to break it to you, but it kind of depends. Everyone's very different, and there are going to be some exercises that you gel well with, that you feel really well, that you connect really well, and there's going to be some other exercises that you just don't feel in your glutes, and that's totally fine. It is not one size fits all, but what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a list of the ones that are biomechanically supposed to engage the glutes, supposed to, you know, provide our glutes with that mechanical tension. However, I want you to try them out in various different rep ranges until you find what works best for you. Let's start with our compound lifts. In terms of the ones that are going to engage your glutes, we're going to be looking at things like hip thrusts and all those variations. So glute bridges as well, single leg hip thrusts, and then you've got lunges and all their variations. So reverse lunge, walking lunge, Bulgarian split squat is also a lunge variation. In order to bias the glutes on these, you want to have a forward lean with your torso, and you want to try and keep your shin as vertical as possible. Next, you've got squat variations. Things like a low bar barbell back squat is great. You can do a wider stance Smith machine squat, or even a dumbbell sumo squat is really going to burn those glutes. Next, we've got our deadlift variations. Sumo deadlifts, conventional deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts. All the deadlifts are really going to put a lot of tension on your glutes in the stretched position. So again, play around with the different variations, different rep ranges until you find the configuration that really sets your glutes on fire. Those are for our main compound lifts that I want you to experiment with, play around with, and choose 2 to 3 per session. Next, we've got our isolation lifts. These are things like your seated abductions, whether it's with a band, whether it's on the machine. You can do cable abductions as well, and then you can do cable kickbacks. Personally, I don't really feel cable kickbacks in my glutes, which is really annoying. A lot of girls do. So experiment with different kickback variations, experiment with different abduction variations, and those are going to be your main isolation lifts for your glutes. I would add in 1 to 2 per session as well. In a nutshell, what your session should look like if it is glute focused is you want to have about 4 to 5 exercises that are going to fire up your glutes. You want to do 2 to 3 compounds, 1 to 2 isolation lifts, and then you want to make sure that your total weekly volume for glutes is in that upper range of the 10 to 20 set range. I'd start with maybe about 15 and work your way up from there if you feel like you can recover from more. So that's everything training related to grow your glutes. But what about nutrition? A lot of ladies ask me, hey, can I get that slim thick look where I'm tightening up my core and my waist and getting a flat stomach and also building my legs, also building my glutes? Well, the answer is yes, you can, and that is called body recomposition, the act of losing body fat while gaining muscle mass. And this is only possible in a very specific set of scenarios. You can only undergo body recomposition either if you are within your first 1 to 2 years of lifting weights properly. That's number 1. Number 2 is if you have taken some time off training due to just laziness or an injury perhaps, and now you're coming back into training, you can lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. So if you are part of those 2 camps of people, if you eat in a slight caloric deficit, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, yes, you can grow your glutes while in a deficit. However, if you have been lifting seriously for more than a couple years, consistently and eating right as well, you're no longer a beginner. And when we're no longer a beginner, it becomes a lot more difficult to grow muscle tissue in a caloric deficit. This is when a calorie surplus is going to optimize things, and it's going to really create that optimal environment for muscle growth and glute growth in particular. So don't be afraid of fat gain. It's kind of inevitable when you're in a surplus, but it can be minimized by making sure we're not in a crazy surplus. All you really need is a 1 to 200 calorie surplus at most, with obviously sufficient protein intake of about 1 gram per pound of body weight. That paired with a training program built upon the principles I explained in this video is going to really help you see some significant progress in your glutes if you've been lifting for quite some time now and you're no longer a beginner. So that's that, guys, for the masterclass on glutes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. My handle's at @AliaaLifts, or comment them down below, and also comment down below what videos you'd like to see next. I'm going to be uploading one of these educational, informative videos once a week, and make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell button so you never miss one of these videos again. Thank you guys again for watching. Smash that like button. You know it really helps out my channel, so I'd really appreciate it. And that's it for today, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Bye!